If I haven't had a chance to personally welcome you this evening, feel my hug. So my 3 G words for tonight are gratitude, gender, and generation. And I really wanted to start with the gratitude. To all of you for being here this evening, to everyone who's made this evening possible, to our incredible Inspiration awardees, who you'll be meeting later this evening, to the staff and the board of Breakthrough, here and in India. Some of you are in the room tonight, so can I invite the board and staff of the US team to please stand up? And maybe you can see the pictures and the names of our India folks. I can't see the slide, so I don't know who you're looking at, but and our many, many, many hundreds and hundreds of partners here in India and all over the world. This is the Breakthrough family that makes this amazing work happen, and I am so full of gratitude to all of you. There are folks in this room who've come from LA, from Toronto, from Bloomington, from Syracuse, from Tarrytown, from all kinds of different places. And I'm so grateful that you made the journey and the trip to be here. Thank you. I'm going to move to my second G word, which is gender. And I really just want to share a personal story. You know, I've never wanted to cook. And whenever I did try to cook, I always had an accident. I either burnt myself or the pot or whatever it was that I was cooking. And soon it got to a place where everyone who knew me was like, Mallika, you go sit down. You don't have to be here. And so I would wash dishes or, put things away, but I was like very happy to have people cook for me. And I was really lucky because I had all these roommates like Amy, my law school roommate who's here, who even learned how to make Indian food for me. And then I married a guy, my ex-husband of 20 years, who used to do all the cooking. So I was like, this is very cool. It's almost like a feminist statement, right? Like, I don't cook. And then 2 years ago, this long buried memory surfaced. And this memory helped me to connect the dots. And when I was 7 years old, my grandmother's cook, a young strapping man by the name of Bahadur, used to sexually touch me. I lived in a joint family in Calcutta, 3 apartments in one building. And he would take me to the stairs that would lead up to the terrace. And it was this big secret. It was a secret that was naughty, that was shameful, that didn't really have words or an understanding that I had as a 7-year-old to even be able to articulate what was happening. And he would smell of masalas and onions and different kinds of oils, and I would never want to go into the kitchen. A couple of years later, he vanished one day. I don't know whether he was fired or whether he found another job, but he was just gone. And that set of experiences had clearly some major repercussions on my life. One of them being that every time I tried to cook, I would either burn something or injure myself. That moment of memory happened with a group of people holding me as I sobbed in a healing circle. And several of them are here tonight. So thank you. I'm sharing this story because this is an evening about stories that are impacted by gender. These stories become trauma for us. They live on in our bodies and how we show up in the world in different ways that we can't even understand and explain. They become norms, they become values, they become the ways in which society tells us how boys and girls should be, how men and women should live. They become systems, they become processes, they become structures, they become laws, they become institutions. And they bring together a culture of hierarchy that is about power over. Tonight, I'm really here to say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. It's time. It's time for culture change. In the video that we showed you from Skoll, you heard this young woman called Rina cry about the impact of her life of being forced into a marriage very early on. Her parents made a choice based on the best thing that they could do for her, even though it was mistaken, because they wanted to protect her from sexual assault and rape, because that's the reality that many women face. Today, she's become a really strong advocate for her sisters and for other young women in her community in Bihar. My third G word is generation. When we share our stories, we generate new possibilities. We heal, we connect at an emotional level. We find places of interconnectedness that we didn't even imagine existed. We're able to find meaning in our own experiences, and when we become storytellers, we are actually able to create new stories. And these new stories help us create new narratives, new norms, new systems, new processes. A few days after the memory of my sexual abuse at the hands of Bahadur returned, a friend who was part of that healing circle sent me in the mail this big-ass kitchen knife. It was the largest kitchen knife I had ever seen in my life. I never had one in my kitchen before because I would always injure myself. It took me a little bit of time to learn how to chop and turn the stove on without being like completely freaked out that I was going to do something to myself. And I burnt a few things. Now I can have 3 things on the stove, a glass of wine in my hand, a phone on my shoulder, and there's been a shift. Many of you have known me as a warrior, as a champion for human rights. And tonight you've met the little girl who was hurt and who healed. And you've met a woman who can now cook a pretty mean dal. You'll be hearing a lot of stories from the stage tonight. And I also invite you to share your own stories around the table. I mean, what the hell? This is an opportunity to step into something that maybe you've never told anybody before. For us to open our hearts and hear each other and connect in ways that we may never have thought about connecting before. I've already heard this amazing story of a woman who is here tonight who had lymphoma, 6 rounds of chemo, had given up, and then found a new treatment, a new life, and she's here all the way from LA. And that was the first story that I heard from folks who were coming in this evening, and I was like, wow, what a gift. So thank you for sharing that with me tonight. If you want to stand up. As we heal and create new meaning, we will be the generation that dreams a new world into being. A world where values of respect, of compassion, of love are the currency by which we live on this planet with one another and with all the other amazing beings with whom we share this home. I close my Zazen meditation every day with this mantra that I want to share with you. And yes, my Zazen teacher is also here tonight. And for those of you who know this very, very famous and this very ancient Sanskrit phrase, I invite you to say it with me. Lokesh samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. May my thoughts, words, and actions contribute in some way to the happiness and freedom of all beings. I am so full of gratitude tonight. Thank you for being here.